If you missed yesterday's content, you will have until Sunday night, 11 p.m. Eastern Time, to catch up on anything that you've missed for the workshop. So, welcome to day two of the What to Eat for Your Body workshop. We're going to help you discover what foods are best for your body. And we're going over the five right number one, the right nourishment for you. So let me know, did you fill out any part of the food journal? So day one's action step was to just write down what you ate, what you drank, just to create some awareness. Because you might not realize that you're eating certain foods or food groups a little bit more than you think you are. When I first started doing this, you do calculate your sugar on there. I was way over 100 grams of sugar. I was eating lots of sugar. And it can be hidden. It can be in crackers. It can be in breads. It's not just the overt sugar that we put in our drinks or we bake with. It can be very hidden. And can be, so you think you know, but then you don't know. I had a client of mine, Nancy, a graduate of my academy, and when we talked about the sugar and, I said, let's just get real with how much you are consuming. She spent 2 hours in a grocery store because she read every single food label of the food that she would typically buy. She said, oh my gosh, when I calculated it, it's a lot of sugar. Pasta sauce, condiments are the big ones. So let me know, did you fill out the food journal and were there any ahas for you? And during this week, don't judge yourself. Don't be critical with yourself. You cannot change, tweak, or modify something of which you are not aware. So yesterday was about awareness, helping you to bring more awareness into what potentially is driving the weight gain or the inability to release weight or the health issues that you are currently having. So let's get started with today's content. Let me pull up my screen here and make sure we can screen share. There it is. It's loading. Sorry, my computer's a little slow today. There we go. And I've got landscapers outside, so if you hear a lawn mowing, that's what's going on right now. And the dog doesn't like it, so you might hear him in the background barking. All right, so yesterday was about awareness, okay? We talked about, so I'm going to do a little bit of a review as well before we get started officially with day two. But day two is all about your personalized eating method. What are foods that are best for your body? Okay. So yesterday we laid a really good foundation. But by the way, I still have some spots open for a dietless dieting audit. This is a one-on-one with me, not anyone on my team. You get a free call with me. Normally calls like this are well over $250 one-on-one with me. And I'm going to ask you questions to find out what life has been like for you, to find out where there's potentially gaps or obstacles, and then to lay out a 30-day plan, what to get started on first. And women who have had this call, they're like, I didn't really know what this call would be about, but I'm so glad that I applied for it because they were able to make some connections between what was going on with their bodies and the gaps in the recommendations. I've been doing this. I've been in this healing work for over 20 years, 25 years now. Gosh, it's been since 2025 years. And so I know it works and I know what doesn't work. And I also look at the root cause, not the Band-Aid approach that a lot of diets do. So we're going to lay out a 30-day game plan for you. And if I feel like, I can help you further in one of my programs with your permission, I'll share that with you. But either way, you will leave with a 30-day game plan in place. The link is on the replay page. Actually, I have it in the chat. Let me just post in the chat for you too. Or you can scan the QR code. It is by application only. This is not your typical freebie, okay? There are some questions that I use to filter out because I want women who are going to implement. All right. So that's that. I do have some spots available on that. So yesterday, here's how the workshop is laid out. Yesterday, day one, reframing success strategy. Today, your personalized eating method. Tomorrow, day three, I'm going to talk about the dietless weight release system. 3 shifts to stop fighting your body. And day four is the results accelerator method. So day three, we're actually going to go past a little bit of the nourishment. I'm going to give you a overall what I found to be the formula for overall health and wellness and optimal weight. And then day 4, when it comes to the workshop and what to eat for your body, how can we accelerate those results a little bit faster? And day 4 is not about making huge changes overnight to where you feel like you're completely deprived, but I'm going to give you some easy things to implement. And for women who do implement everything in this workshop, they release up to 5 pounds in 5 days. Why does that happen? Because when you start to learn what your body needs and what your body thrives on, and you eat those foods, it's naturally lower in sugar. I didn't say completely sugar-free, but lower in sugar. It's lower in inflammation. It helps support your hormonal balance. And your body just easily releases the weight. And so if you're not familiar with me, maybe this is your first day with me, virtual high five, whether you're watching live or the replay. I am Pamela Pedrick, also known as the Dietless Dieting Coach, because I help women to ditch the diet, because busy women come to me when they're ready to ditch the constant yo-yo dieting, the weight regain, and the constant fatigue. And they want natural, holistic systems and strategies that are going to work for their own unique bodies. Something that is customized and personalized to them and what's going on in their life now. And when they come to me, we get their bodies to be functioning at an optimal level, and they're more easily able to release the weight, the fat specifically, and they get fit and they feel light and free. Because see, I am the failed dieter. I failed lots of diets. Can anyone relate to that one? And yes, let's be honest, they can work, right? You can release some pounds and inches, but when I say I'm a failed dieter, meaning I always gain the weight back, and sometimes with some added pounds and inches afterwards. So because of my own journey, I am now a leader in the diet-free movement. I call out the BS on social media. I am an international best-selling author. I wrote the chapter Lose Weight Now in the #1 international best-selling book, The One Thing Every Mom Needs to Know. I am a cat mama. I rescued 2 cats when they were just kittens. They are now 21 and 18. Yes, even my 21-year-old gets some supplements with probiotics and some vitamins. And I am a diehard Philadelphia Eagles fan. Yes, we won the Super Bowl this past year. We're looking to do a two-peat this year as well. But as I said, I am the failed dieter. And so because of my own journey, I actually did a lot of research into this because I didn't want to do another DIET, done and over with that, because the diets led me to binge eating, because I felt like crap, my self-esteem was low, and I felt like I was the common denominator, which why I failed constantly. But see, it wasn't that I failed, it's that diets are actually intrinsically designed to fail you by focusing only on what you eat and how you move. But if that was the only way to really release weight and not gain it back again, to get your optimal health and your weight, you would not be potentially stuck or where you are right now, because it's not the answer. So I developed the 5 rights of success. Okay, this is how you're successful in having your optimal health and wellness and your optimal weight, which is not a number on a scale, ladies. You are not a number on the scale, because that number on the scale really doesn't tell you anything other than how much you weigh. It doesn't tell me how much fat is on your body. It doesn't tell me how much lean muscle mass that you have. And see, when you take into those considerations, those factors, you can be at a higher weight, but you got lots of muscle and less fat. So that's why I ditched the scale years ago. And so the 5 rights of success, which I found from my research, the right nourishment, but it's the right nourishment for your body, which is why a lot of diets, when I said they're intrinsically designed to fail, is they see you as just one of many. Like they see you as just within everyone else. It's very cookie cutter. You follow this eating plan, you do this movement over here, and your best friend, if you're doing the same plan, might have lost 10 pounds or more, and you're barely budging the scale. Once again, that's not the answer, but your clothes aren't even looser. Your clothes are tighter, like things are not happening for you, and you're like, well, what's going on? I'm following the plan. It's because that food that they have you on is not right for your body. So that's what this workshop is designed to do, is to lay a really great foundation for you for the first right, which is the right nourishment. But then you also have to add in the right movements. I see a lot of women doing tons of cardio, And that can actually burn out your adrenals if your adrenals are already impacted, and it's going to make you hold on to weight or even gain weight, specifically fat. Why? Because you're putting more added stress on a body that's already stressed out enough. So you got to find the right movement for your body. Then you need to have the right environments. The right environment was the external environment. What are you around? And the internal environments, what's going on in your body. External could be perfumes, cleaning products. What do you put in your skin? Are you surrounded by smokers? Do you use smoke? And you might not necessarily be smoking, but you got the third hand smoking is on your clothes when you get that smoke because you're around smokers. Do you live in an area where I used to live next to a plant that every so often would release some gaseous fumes in the air? And we're like, oh yeah, it's just them. But that can be toxic. That can put a burden on your body. So no shame or blame on you. A lot of times it's just by virtue of like the houses you've lived in. Have you been exposed to mold? There's a lot that goes into this. Environment is also your relationships. You are the average of the 5 people you hang out with the most. You are the average of the 5 people you hang out with the most. And we at times will deviate to them and what they do. So if they're eating food that your body doesn't thrive on, oftentimes self-sabotage can come into play because you're trying to maintain pure relationships. A lot goes in with the environment. Then you need the right hormonal balance. And hormones are not just what we deal with during perimenopause and menopause. No, it's also leptin, ghrelin, insulin, cortisol, human growth hormone. There's 5 right there that hit us way before perimenopause hits us. And it impacts our weight and our overall health. And when it comes to hormones, our body early on, it does a really great job of compensating. Okay. And so the things that you've done in the past to release weight won't work for you in perimenopause because your body was doing really well compensating with all the lifestyle hits you gave it, with all the food that you've been feeding it. And so when perimenopause hits, it's like the straw that breaks the camel's back, so to speak, or that domino that you hit that makes all the other dominoes it's a cascade effect. Because once progesterone, estrogen, testosterone start to become, they're trying to get lower in your body for the menopausal state of life, the other hormones that have been out of balance, but your body's been really compensating all along, they're really now out of balance, which is why we see a lot of insulin resistance in perimenopause. Because your insulin and your blood sugar have not been balanced prior to this, but you just didn't know. And then the right mindset. Because you can attempt to do the first 4, but how consistent are you? Are you defaulting to past patterns of behavior and actions? It comes down to here, the mind, which is so much more than just mindset, by the way. It's not just positive affirmations. It's so much more. You literally need to reprogram the unconscious mind and have an identity that's going to serve you and help you to be consistent in the first 4. So that's what I come to find to be the success of how you can release weight permanently and get your optimal health and wellness. So the workshop, once again, it's all about the right nourishment for your body. It's not just eating clean, because sometimes your definition of eating clean can look different to someone else, right? And you might think you're eating clean. And I have a lot of women who come to me that they are eating clean. They're eating the healthy food, right? But it's not healthy for them. So yesterday we talked about food intolerances. So healthy food, vegetables, fruits can be a food intolerance, and your body drives an inflammatory response. It puts stress on the body, which releases cortisol. Cortisol signals to your body to release more sugar into your system. So now you got blood sugar highs and lows going on, which drives even more inflammation. All you know is all of a sudden you've gained like 5 pounds, and what's going on? Good food intolerances. It's an unknown hitting factor to weight gain and difficulty to release weight. I had this myself like 5 years ago. I was like, what's going on? And I saw my blood panel, and I'm like, because I look at it a different way. When I come from a functional background, so my numbers when I look at labs are going to look different. And when I my provider would say your blood sugar numbers and markers look good, and I'm like, for my A1C to be that way and my fasting to be that way, there's something going on with my blood sugar. It's food intolerance driven. Then are you eating enough for your body? You might potentially be eating volume of food wise, but you're undernourished. you're not getting enough nutrition into your system via the food that you're eating and the types of food that you're eating. Is your blood sugar balanced? I just mentioned the whole food intolerances driving cortisol, driving driving sugar to be released into your blood, making highs and lows. So you don't need to outright eat a lot of sugar to have blood sugar dysregulation or imbalances. Do you have any nutritional deficiencies? Stress can play a huge role in that because stress prevents you from uptaking the nutrition that you are getting from your food. So that's the overview of the workshop. We're going to help you work on this. So once again, I'm a failed dieter. I can completely relate. I spent well over $10,000 just learning what didn't work for my body. Legit, when you calculate it all up. I've done everything under the sun. I invested a lot of money on things that didn't work. Why? Because they looked at me as just everyone else instead of the divinely unique individual that I am. My body is different. Yours is different as well. So you're all about freedom. From women that I work with, the underlying theme that they want is they want freedom. Freedom from the food noise, freedom from it being such a struggle to release weight and to get healthy. So let's get you a little bit of that freedom. But once again, it's not your fault. You've just been fed a lie, lots of lies, but a big lie. The big lie of saying all you need to do is eat less and move more. Eat less calories, move your body more. And I have a client at my academy who's graduated, she's in her 60s, and she was eating well over 2,000 calories a day. In fact, she said, I'm eating like a 21-year-old guy. I'm like, well, what do you mean by that? Because I'm thinking college, a lot of times they're not eating the healthy. She goes, I'm talking about volume of food. And she goes, I used to deprive myself and eat way less food. She goes, but I'm eating lots and lots of food. I said, okay, I see what you're talking about. I said, and do you know the reason why? She goes, because I'm in the best shape of my life. She said, because it's the type of food I'm eating. She goes, I'm eating for my body. And she was eating nutriently dense foods as well. So another lie is they just look at the physical, right? What you eat, how you move. But there's an emotional component to this. There's a mental and there's a spiritual component. And weight gain and health issues, your body's throwing out a signal. It's saying, hello, something's going on. Something is out of alignment, physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, or all of the above. But diets and most weight loss programs out there, they're just putting a Band-Aid on the symptoms. They're not getting to the root of why this is going on in the first place, which is why we see as high as 98% of women who release weight, they inevitably gain it back. So when I did my research, my journey, I was like, what's the 2% doing? Like, what's working? What are they doing? I found that you need the right nourishment, the right environment, the right hormonal balance, the right mind. Yes. So, but the good news is that the body can heal. If you've ever broken a bone or know someone who broke a bone, can you see the original break? No. Why? Because the body has healed it. You might need a cast, some support there, but your body does the healing. The same thing happens when it comes to weight and other health issues, is that when we give it the right nourishment, the right environment, the right hormonal balance, the right movement, and we have the right mind to stay consistent, it's a heck of a lot easier. In fact, it's effortless. There's still the word effort because you got to take action, but it's effortless. All right, so yesterday we talked about, let's start with reframing good foods versus bad foods and said it's power foods or pleasure foods, because food is not inherently evil, okay? So power foods are those foods your body thrives on. And so you're going to start to discover what your personal power foods are during the course of this workshop. That's what this foundation is, to help you to start finding out what your personal power foods are with that. So power foods are food your body thrives on. You have tons of energy, you're not bloated, you don't get a headache, you're not nauseous, your skin is glowing, you're releasing weight, your blood sugar's balanced, your inflammation's coming down. Those are power foods. Your pleasure foods, called pleasure foods because let's be honest, they taste freaking good. Or those foods that they taste good, we like them, but our energy drops, causes weight gain, inflammation increases, and we see a whole host of cascading health issues. So when you know what foods are best for your body, you as the CEO of your health and your body can make the determine if and when you want to eat those pleasure foods. So when I was on my own journey, I'm like, I didn't want to completely deprive myself. I wanted to have some pleasure foods. I didn't want to be, out at a restaurant and everyone's ordering dessert. And I'm like, yeah, no, it's not fun, right? So you can have control and you can decide when and if to have those pleasure foods. So today, let's get into the nitty-gritty of your personalized eating plan, discovering what your body thrives on, because it can be different for everyone. So you need to start listening to your body's biofeedback. The body is always giving us feedback, okay? Feedback could be, man, I'm exhausted after I just had that meal. What's going on that? I just had an omelet. Man, I'm yawning. I think I need to take a nap. I'm a little nauseous. Oh, I'm bloated. Oh, here comes the bloatiness. I'm gassy. Like, your body's constantly giving you feedback about the food that you're eating, but you might be thinking it's something else entirely. It's causing these issues. Oh, I've been stressed recently. That's why I'm tired. Didn't have my caffeine. That's why I'm tired. So it can help you identify which foods help you to release weight naturally, lower your inflammation, balance your blood sugar, and boost your energy and focus. And today's handout is going to help you to do that. Okay? Because it's going to help you to start seeing how your food choices directly impact your body. And so there is going to be a bit of a logging to do. You do need to take action. Why? It's because I've found that when you actually see it in writing, what the food that you're eating and your body's response to it, you get to see patterns. Because this happened to me with the eggs. I mean, I love eggs. I love omelets. Love it. But then I started to notice, oh my gosh, I'm yawning. I'm so tired. I need to take, legit, I'm like, I need to take a nap. I can't go on. Oh, I didn't have my coffee. Let me just have a cup of coffee. Okay, get some caffeine in me. Next time I had eggs, oh my gosh, I'm so tired. What's going on? I just ate. It shouldn't be a drop in blood sugar because I'm hungry. I just ate. What's going on? Next time I had eggs, I started to see this pattern. So then I started to write it down. Every time I had eggs, no matter how they were cooked, within an hour, I was dropping my energy. Legit yawning, and I need to take a nap. And that's not me. Yeah, I can be low on energy, but I'm not I really need to take a nap. So when you start to write things down, you start to notice patterns of what's going on, and then you can make the required changes. And the pattern might be, oh my gosh, I have so much more energy when I eat this food. Wow, I feel great. So we're going to start to know what are your pleasure foods, okay? Those pleasure foods, once again, you're like, ooh, I love this. Pleasure foods for me back in the day was Papa John's pizza and Ben & Jerry's ice cream. Love that. But also when I started to learn, so your pleasure foods are your food intolerances as well. Why? Because you like to eat them, but your body not so much. So pleasure foods for me are eggs. Every so often I'll have an egg. Because I'm or make a little egg sandwich with some gluten-free bread. Because I'm oh, I want something different. Because I'm the CEO of my health and my body, so I can make that determination. And I know I'm going to be a little tired. But you like it, or you potentially fantasize about that. Definitely me back in the day, fantasizing about that pizza and ice cream. Okay. So pleasure food has been engineered often through adding fat, salt, and sugar to captivate you and get you to crave it. There's something called the bliss point. And I can't remember if it was back in the 50s or 60s, but it's one of the big cereal brands, one of the big food brands that makes cereal. I don't know if it was Kellogg or what company it was, but if you just look for bliss point and Google it, I was watching a documentary. I think it was That Sugar Film is where I saw, or another documentary, where back in the day, because they wanted you to purchase their food and to buy more of it, they started to experiment with the bliss point. How much sugar is just enough and how much sugar in the food is too much? Because they knew that when you have sugar in food, we we'll buy more of it, we eat more of it. We're like, how can we get them to keep coming back for more? They found the bliss point. There's a certain point where it's just too much sugar, like, oh, that's too sugar. You ever get that? Like you eat something, like, oh, that's too sweet. Don't like that. And then not sweet enough, like, oh, yeah, I need to add some more sugar. They found the bliss point. So then in all their foods that created, they found the bliss point with those foods. They did research. They had people come in and taste the food. And did you like it? Did you not like it? How much are you eating? So there's bliss point with pleasure food, making you want to eat them again and again. Plus, they give us a hit of dopamine and serotonin in the brain. They're also in our gut, serotonin, hence why we eat the food. And so it makes us feel better. Like you start to feel better about yourself, better about life. But then the crash comes because it makes your blood sugar go up. Then the crash comes and you're like, oh, let me go eat some more food. Which is why, as someone who used to binge eat, I would keep going back for more and back for more because I kept wanting that bliss point. Give me that bliss point again. Give me that dopamine and serotonin. Because when the crash came, and it always came, usually within an hour, I always go back for more, for more, for more. All right, so what is your pleasure food? But also pleasure food might not be the bliss point, might not be outright sugar for you, because pleasure food for me is also, I said the eggs, it's also eggplant, it's also spinach, because I like those foods. And in fact, I love spinach as in my salad, but my body not so much. Green peppers. I love peppers. Green peppers specifically is one that it's a pleasure food. All right, so can even be fruits and vegetables. All right, so food that is healthy can be a food intolerance for your body. Gluten is a big one. I've yet to find someone who's not gluten intolerant. Just saying. And so that was me. Once I made the connection, this was before I had the testing done. I just started to notice some things in my body. I actually went to a retreat and they didn't serve gluten. Everything was gluten-free bread. And after day 3, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm feeling better. Like I'm not bloated. Like what's going on? I'm like, I wonder if it's the bread because I was a big bread eater, which is why I gained 10 pounds in France because I ate all the cheese and ate all the bread. That bliss point. I'm like, I'm not as bloated. So then I started my journey of, whoa, what does gluten do in our body? Why am I feeling so much better? And then if you read the books or the research, yeah, gluten, and then I had the testing which just confirmed this. I'm highly reactive to gluten. But food intolerance symptoms could be headaches, nausea, bloating, diarrhea, or constipation. Could be either end of the spectrum. Some foods can cause constipation, some diarrhea, cough, congestion, mucus in the throat. Now you might have read dairy, okay, in there, where I said peppers, eggs, tomatoes, dairy, gluten, grains. Now dairy, this is not lactose intolerance where you're literally in the bathroom. It can be, but dairy does cause an inflammatory response in the body, and it impacts your thyroid. Read the research out of Sweden, not out of the US. There's lots of research on that, just not stuff that comes from the US because it's a big dairy here. And so cough, congestion, mucus in the throat. So I live in Florida and I have pollen and grass allergies. So I thought all of the coughing and the congestion and everything else was just me and my allergies. But then I started to notice, wait, there's no allergens out there today. It's a low day. Why am I having the sinus headache? Why is this going on? Like I started to just notice patterns. I'm like, why am I having, because I always trigger a migraine, why am I having a migraine when none of my allergens are out? Yes, there are times in Florida where there's low in allergens. So then I started to research this and really get into finding what's going on. I found that mine, for me, was gluten, dairy driven. It's the gluten. Yeah, I did outright say that because it's been bastardized here in the US. Great question, though. And so when I started to make those connections and be like, okay, this is food, because I was on my own journey of figuring this out with food intolerances, because you don't hear this in the traditional dieting and weight loss programs about food intolerances. I just kind of stumbled into it when I was doing my own once again. And this was like 10 years into my own, you know, healing when when I was like, I'm thinking, okay, everything's great. And I'm like, oh, wait, what's going on here? Awesome. So, power foods, once again, they give you energy. They don't cause any distress. Like you're feeling great. Your skin's clearer, you're sleeping better. You got so much energy. See, another thing for me is my body thrives on wild caught fish. My body absolutely loves it. And yeah, I can, but my body, pork, not so much, and I love it. My mom makes Christmas ham. I've since taken that over. But the way she makes it, I love it. And I just know that I'm not going to feel the best in my body because my body doesn't like ham. My body likes chicken and turkey, but not as much as the wild caught salmon. So even within your power foods, you can have ones that are like, oh yeah, this I love. My body thrives on this really, really well. And with your power foods, you're naturally balancing your blood sugar. Why? It's because you're not causing stress on the body, which causes that stress response with the cortisol. It lowers your inflammation, same reason. It also helps you to improve your hormone balance. So now your insulin is working more efficiently and better. Your human growth hormone is coming into play. You want that. It's a great hormone to have. We need more of it. You're sleeping better. Like all these things start to come into play. And I have one of my clients on my academy, within the first 5 days, her cravings went away. Why? Because she was eating for her body. Once we found the foods her body thrives on, within 5 days, her cravings were gone. And she's like, oh my gosh, I have energy. Another client of mine, Gina, by the way, any client I mention by name, I have their permission to share that. Gina, when she came to me, her energy was in the toilet. Her doctor actually recommended me to her. And she goes, her energy was in the toilet. She was dealing with autoimmune issues. She was having some binge eating episodes, and she had some extra pounds and inches that no matter what she did, just would not come off. A lot of it was food driven for her, especially her autoimmune. So when we worked together and helped her discover what her personal power foods are, she goes, oh my gosh, I was depriving myself of foods I didn't need to deprive myself of. She went back to eating those foods. She's like, all right, I'm great. This is great. And the first time she was able to do more than one thing when she came home from work, because that's how bad her energy was. So let me do something over here. She said, I literally had a pause. I'm like, oh my goodness, I have energy. And she started to cry because for the first time in years, Gina had the energy to do more than one thing at a time. She now has the energy to play with her young grandkids because her grandkids wanted her to play soccer. She was sitting on the sidelines of her life. She would have to call off outings with friends and family at the last minute because she didn't feel the best in her body. She's like, I had to go take a nap because her energy was so depleted. So with your power foods, the opposite. It's like exponentially, you're like, yeah, this is awesome. And also, when you do hit those menopausal years, because you've been eating for your body, those symptoms can be significantly decreased. Like I've been in perimenopause. Like when I was looking back at my symptoms and everything, I'm like, oh, I've been in perimenopause longer than I thought I was. The only thing I had were night sweats, but I worked that out. I haven't had any issues whatsoever. No hot flash, nothing. So here's what happens though. Diets and weight loss programs, they give you a list of here, eat these, but don't eat these. But even on the list of eat these could be foods that your body is intolerant to. And see, diets are one size fits all. They don't take in consideration that you might need this amount of protein. Someone needs less amount of protein, which is why I don't advocate any specific eating plan. You know, keto, was it 6 years ago, 7 years ago, started to come back full force, like keto this, keto that, which is great. But my body does not do well with high, even though good fats, doesn't deal with high fats. My body does much better with high protein, moderate fat, lower carbs, but even with the carbs, specific carbs for my body. So you might have an idea what power foods are best for your body, but when you start to truly listen to your body, you will know what is best for you because awareness is key. And I have women who do this, they're like, oh my goodness, now I know why I had to take the nap in the afternoon. Because they were eating the same thing for lunch. Now I know why that was happening. Awareness is key. So this is to help you to get some more awareness. So how do you start to become aware? You jot it down, you write it down. So first off, this first one is a little bit more what I just told you about power foods and pleasure foods. Here's this first one. Okay. But your action step for today, if I can find it, okay, is eating for your body food log. I'm going to go over this in a minute. As soon as I can get this copied. Okay. Eating for your body food log. You're going to be using this the rest of the workshop. Okay. You're going to start journaling, start listening to your body. Record everything you eat and drink, including snacks, everything you eat and drink. And also notice the portion size. 1 cup, 1 slice. If you're in Canada and you're doing metric, do metric. US has not done that yet. As accurately as possible. But before eating, rate your hunger. 1 is you're not hungry. 10 is you're very hungry. Or is there a number in between? And after eating, it's on that handout I gave you. Jot down how you feel. What is your energy levels? What is your mood? And any physical sensations. Ninja tip, also jot down your mood before you eat. What is your emotional state before you eat? Because that does impact your food choices. And then as you start to write things down, after a couple of days, you might start to notice a pattern. Oh, every time I eat this food, oh my gosh, my energy is great. Like there's no crashes. Okay. So within an hour is the immediate impact that food has on your body. 2 hours after is the long-term impact the food has on your body. Because let's be honest, you can eat some sugar and be like, yay, I'm high on energy. And then by 2 hour mark, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so exhausted. So it's the 2 hour mark that really determines the longer term impact that that food has on your body. So let me stop here and we're going to share this and look at this a little bit more in depth. All right. Let me share this handout. So just you're tracking what you eat and how it makes you feel. Okay. Date, time, food, beverage, portion size, hunger level, how you felt after, energy, mood, etc. Ninja tip, and the side, or date and time, you can sneak in like, what is my current mood right now? Am I stressed? Am I sad? Am I lonely? Am I happy? Am I excited? What is your mood? Your hunger level, first off, do you know what your hunger signals are? Okay. Every so often, I can get a little nauseous. Like my stomach hasn't even growled, but I'm hit with nausea. And it hits fast. Why? It's because my blood sugar dropped. Fast. So as soon as I eat a little bit of something, I'm like, okay, nausea goes away. I was hungry. But more often, the physical symptom is your stomach actually growls. Our body is uniquely created, divinely created, because our body has natural signals. Physical signal of hunger is a growl, or I can feel empty and I'll know my stomach's about ready to growl because I just get that little empty feeling, like it's building up the growl. Could be nausea, could be low energy, like you haven't had anything to eat for like 4 to 6 hours. Drop in energy could be your signal that you need to fuel your body more. Okay. So what is your hunger level? You're recording everything. Okay. And then after eating, how are you feeling? Your energy levels, your mood, any physical sensations. And I recommend come back like 2 hours later and do this. And notice the patterns and insights about what works best for your body. Because if you're jotting down, oh, my energy is really low, I need to take a met, or you're irritable, like your mood was good before I ate, but now you're daggone the opposite. You're irritable, you're cranky, because mood does impact your mood. Food does impact your mood. In fact, the more sugar that you eat, it can cause depressive episodes with sugar. That sadness definitely can do that. So that's just what you're going to use for the rest of the workshop. Okay, make copies of it. And then start to notice. If you start to notice, whoa, low energy or irritability or anything over here, look back. What is it that you ate? and how much of it. So the first thing I recommend is, okay, maybe cut back on the portion size. Are you still feeling the same way? And sometimes there's a little bit of a dance because obviously you're eating more than one thing at a meal, right? You got your meats, potentially one or two sides, and you might not know exactly which one's causing it. But if you start to notice, oh wow, every time I have this meat, no matter what vegetables I have with it, what sides I have with it, my energy's down. Ooh, okay. Potentially it's the meat. So start to notice things. Like I literally will go through and like circle some things. I'm like, okay, I'm making the connections. So when I found about the gluten and the dairy and some of my other food intolerances, I literally was writing it down. The eggs especially, I was writing it down. Okay, yep, tired, yep. And I was making those connections. Okay. No judgment with what you eat. Just eat what you are normally eating. Just continue. See, don't see Gina. She was changing up what she was eating before she knew exactly what her food intolerances were. And when we worked it out, she goes, "Oh my gosh, I was depriving myself of food that I didn't need to because it was this food over here that was doing it." Any questions about the handout? Any questions about the handout? Is that clear? You don't need to change what you're eating currently. Okay. It's just to help you to be aware of what is it if what you're eating is causing any issues for you. All right. Let me grab my screen again. All right, back to the PowerPoint. Awesome. All right, looks like it's clear for everyone. I don't see any questions. If you do, just type it in. All right, so that is your food log. You got the link in the chat, or you can screenshot the URL. Okay. So also, what is your stress level? Stress is a big impact on your food choices and your sleep patterns. Okay. Ninja tip for tracking your sleep. Because if you're like, oh, I didn't get the best sleep last night, what are your food choices? Okay. All right. So reflect on today's key takeaways. What was your biggest aha moment for you? Okay. So when I was first doing this, I'm like, really? Is food really impacting my body to that extent? Because anyone who saw what I was eating would be like, oh, you're eating healthy food, right? Because I stopped binge eating. I was eating clean, or what I thought was clean for my body. And yet I was having some issues. And I'm like, really? Like there has to be, I was like, there's gotta be other things going on. Like what exactly is going on here? There has to be something else. When I started to look at my food and listen to the feedback my body was giving me, I'm like, oh my gosh, it actually is the food. It is a food intolerance that's driving this. Bonus points if you can get a continuous glucometer, because that will definitely tell you by your numbers. But I always go back to, even when clients in my academy ask me, what about this food group? I always ask, well, how do you feel when you eat that food? What is your body telling you? What are the signals your body is telling you? And sometimes you might be too toxic or too exhausted to hear what your body is telling you. Too toxic meaning your toxic burden in your body. You're very, very inflamed from that. So it'll be difficult to hear, which is why I usually recommend for my clients to do something like this for 8 days, 8 to 12 days. Because then you start to get in the momentum of, oh, now I'm seeing that this subtle signal, oh, this over here is what my body is telling me. Because it can be very muffled, what I say muffled, because it's trying to give you the feedback through all the toxicity in your body. So tomorrow is the Results Accelerator method. All right. So don't forget, I do have spots still available for a Dietless Dieting Audit. It is a deep dive, 45-minute conversation with me, not with anyone on my team, by application only. And I only offer this during my live events like this. It's not offered throughout the year. And I do have some spots left on my calendar for that. All right, so get to learning what is best for your body, the foods that are your body's going to thrive on. Let me post the Dietless Dieting Audit link in here for you in case you came in later and you don't have it. You don't have your phone. If you're watching on your phone. All right, so tomorrow we're going to start figuring out a little bit more holistically with this. Oh, you're so welcome, JJ. Yeah, and I want to hear, start listening to your body because I want to hear tomorrow with you implementing what have you discovered with your body. What's going on? Are you making those connections? And if not, that's okay. All right. I do have some clients that takes them a good 5 days to where they start to feel like, oh, now I'm noticing this as a symptom. Now I'm noticing this as a signal from my body. Okay. So that's why I usually recommend do this a little bit longer than the workshop. And those who do this consistently, like they release up to 5 pounds in 5 days because then they see their patterns and they start to eliminate those foods and see how they do. And that's where they start to see the weight more easily be released. All right, I don't see any questions. To your health, we'll catch you tomorrow for day 3 of the What to Eat for Your Body